Hello everyone and welcome to the third part of our epic BC road trip series. If you haven't watched the previous episodes, make sure to check them out through this link before continuing. We kick off day 8 by exploring more stunning locations on Vancouver Island. Our first stop of the day was Malahat Skywalk, a highly recommended experience for anyone visiting the island. After grabbing our tickets, we headed straight towards the elevated pathway, which was surrounded by beautiful wooden artwork that made the walk even more enjoyable. As we approached the skywalk itself, we were amazed by its massive spiral structure. The pathway gradually ascended in a smooth circular incline, making it an easy and comfortable walk to the top. Now, here's the fun part. You can either walk back down the same way or take the giant slide for a quick descent. At the very top, a large net covered the center of the structure, allowing visitors to walk across it, though jumping was definitely not recommended. From up there, the views were absolutely mesmerizing. We could see the ocean inlets, tiny boats and ships far below, and even a glimpse of Mount Baker all the way in the US. Of course, we chose the slide for our way down. Though there was a long queue, it was totally worth the wait. Once we were all back at the base, we headed out to our next adventure. On our way, we stopped for a delicious Nepalese lunch, and it was the perfect way to recharge before continuing our journey. Next up, we visited the Kinsol Trestle Bridge, located along the Cowichan Valley Trail. The historic bridge was once a railway track used to transport logs from the mountain to the coast. While the train tracks have been removed, you can still see some of the old wooden beams stacked near the walkway. From the parking lot, it was just a short walk before we reached the massive wooden bridge. It's been carefully preserved and modified to allow pedestrians to walk across it safely. After spending some time taking in the scenic views from the top, we decided to hike down to the river below. We even found a perfect swimming spot and decided to take a refreshing dip. Until we noticed tiny worm-like creatures crawling on us, and that, as you can imagine, was the end of our swim. After drying off, we made our way back to the parking lot and continued on to our next destination. This next stop is often called the Niagara Falls of Vancouver Island. The waterfall was truly majestic, but getting there required going through an underground tunnel beneath the highway. A cool little adventure on its own. To wrap up the day, we gathered at the shipyard for a well-deserved seafood dinner before calling it a night. Day 9 was all about exploring more of Vancouver Island. After checking out from our accommodation, our first destination was the magnificent Hatley Castle. After a short walk from the parking lot, we were greeted by the majestic fairy tale-like structure. The castle, surrounded by beautiful gardens and historic buildings, looks straight out of a movie. In fact, some say part of X-Men were filmed here. Our next stop was Craigdarroch Castle. Unlike Hatley Castle, this one was open for public tours, allowing us to step inside and experience how life was during the olden days. We took our time exploring every room, imagining what it must have been like to live here centuries ago. By now, it was time for lunch. We decided to stop at an Indian restaurant. Each of us ordered a different dish, and every single one was delicious. After lunch, we made our way back to the ferry terminal, patiently waiting for our turn. This time, we were sailing back to Vancouver in the evening. While we weren't expecting to see any whales or dolphins, we still had stunning ocean views, with the sun reflecting beautifully off the water as it began to set. After 1.5 hours on the ferry, it was time to say our goodbyes. Since this was the last time we'd be seeing some of our friends on this trip, it was a bittersweet moment. With our farewells behind us, we drove straight to Squamish, passing through Vancouver and Stanley Park along the way. Squamish would be our home base for the next part of the journey. And that wraps up part 3 of our BC road trip series. Thank you for sticking with us until the end of the video. Stay tuned for part 4, where we explore Vancouver City, Stanley Park, and some incredible spots around Squamish. Until then, stay safe and see you soon.